Let's get straight to the point. Point number 6, gym. Right now, while you're posting your workout selfies and pretending those 20 minutes on the treadmill count as exercise, you are actually celebrating in a place named after naked Greek men. You might think gym is just a modern abbreviation for gymnasium, some innocent fitness term. But oh honey, think again. You're actually dealing with a word derived from the Greek gymnos, which literally means naked, because those ancient Greeks worked out in their birthday suits like it was the most natural thing in the world. The original gymnasiums were places where men would gather completely nude to wrestle, run, and throw things at each other. Think of it as a sweaty flesh convention designed to showcase physical perfection before anyone invented athletic shorts. You aren't just a person going to work out. You are effectively a walking, talking advertisement for what used to be ancient Greece's most clothing-optional social club. You're funneling your monthly dues directly into an institution whose very name celebrates the complete absence of fabric between you and a pommel horse. It's a total disaster, sure, but it beats admitting you're basically honoring naked Greek dudes every time you complain about leg day. Enjoy your spin class and its etymological strip show. Point number 5, deadline. Ever casually mention you have a deadline at work like it's just another corporate buzzword? Well, congratulations, because you are actually referencing a literal line that, if crossed, would get you shot dead. You might think deadline is just a harmless term for when something is due. But oh honey, think again. You're actually dealing with a word born from the Andersonville prison camp during the American Civil War, where a physical line was drawn in the dirt, and crossing it meant immediate execution by guard fire. Confederate soldiers would literally shoot prisoners who stepped over this boundary. No questions asked, just instant death for crossing an invisible threshold. Your great-great-grandfather's generation watched men die for crossing a line in the sand, and now you're using it to describe your PowerPoint presentation. You aren't just a person with tasks to complete. You are effectively a walking, talking monument to summary execution. It's a total disaster, sure, but it beats using accurate terms like due date, which sound way less dramatic when you're explaining to your boss why you're behind schedule. Enjoy your TPS reports and their homicidal etymology. Point number 4, quarantine. Here's something that'll ruin your pandemic vocabulary. While you were complaining about quarantine during COVID like it was some modern inconvenience, you were actually using a word that means 40 days in Italian. The time medieval authorities believed it took for ships carrying plague victims to purge their diseased cargo through death. You might think quarantine is just a neutral public health term. But oh honey, think again, you're actually dealing with a practice from 14th century Venice where ships suspected of carrying the Black Death were forced to anchor offshore for 40 days during which the sick would either recover or, more likely, die and be thrown overboard before the ship was allowed to dock. The number 40 wasn't scientific, it was biblical and mostly just gave authorities enough time to watch everyone aboard either survive or become corpses. Think of it as a floating death watch designed to protect the mainland. You aren't just a person following health protocols, you are effectively describing maritime body disposal every time you complained about not being able to go to brunch. It's a total disaster, sure, but it beats acknowledging that your inconvenient 2-week isolation has its roots in watching plague ships become floating morgues. Enjoy your Netflix binge and its plague-riddled origins. Point number 3, nightmare. Picture this. You're telling someone about a bad dream you had, calling it a nightmare like it's no big deal. Cute. But you are actually describing being assaulted in your sleep by a demonic entity. You might think nightmare just means a scary dream. But oh honey, think again. You're actually dealing with Old English and Germanic mythology about the mare, a malicious demon that would sit on people's chests while they slept, suffocating them in a state of sleep paralysis. Medieval people genuinely believed these attacks were real, that evil spirits were physically assaulting them in their most vulnerable state. Think of it as a demonic home invasion designed to terrorize before the victim could wake up. You aren't just a person with bad dreams. You are effectively casually referencing demon torture folklore every time you describe dreaming about showing up to school in your underwear. It's a total disaster, sure, but it beats explaining that your bad dream terminology literally means you think an incubus attacked you. Enjoy your chamomile tea and its mythological assault backstory. Point number 2, nostalgia. Let's talk about your obsession with the good old days. While you're scrolling through throwback photos and sighing about how much better things used to be, you are actually diagnosing yourself with a debilitating medical condition that doctors once believed could kill you. You might think nostalgia is just a warm, fuzzy feeling about the past. But oh honey, Think again. You're actually dealing with a term coined in 1688 to describe a severe illness afflicting Swiss mercenaries who grew so homesick they would waste away and die. Doctors legitimately prescribed leeches, opium, and trips to the Alps to cure this neurological disease that manifested in fever, stomach pain, and, in extreme cases, actual death from psychological anguish. Think of it as potentially lethal homesickness designed to destroy soldiers before they could even face enemy fire. You aren't just a person who misses the past. You are effectively a walking, talking patient with what used to be a diagnosable and deadly affliction. You're using 17th century disease language to describe your feelings about Saturday morning cartoons. It's a total disaster, sure, but it beats admitting you need medical intervention for liking old video games. Enjoy your retro gaming collection and its morbid medical history. Point number 1. Disaster. And now for the grand finale. Every time you describe spilling coffee on your laptop or missing your train as a disaster, you are actually blaming the stars for personally conspiring against you. You might think disaster just means something went wrong, but oh honey, think again. The word comes from Italian disastro. Dis, meaning bad, and astro, meaning star. Because Renaissance-era people genuinely believed catastrophic events were caused by unfavorable planetary alignments and celestial bodies literally cursing humanity from space. When plague hit, when wars erupted, when crops failed, it wasn't random chance. It was the stars themselves turned against mankind in cosmic betrayal. Ancient astrologers would study the heavens and predict doom based on where Jupiter was hanging out relative to Saturn. Your ancestors looked up at the night sky and saw malevolent forces plotting their destruction, and now you're using the same terminology because your phone died at 12%. You aren't just a person having a bad day. You are effectively declaring that the cosmos itself has personally chosen to ruin your morning. It's a total disaster, sure, but it beats taking personal responsibility when you could blame Saturn instead. You're a modern human using ancient star-cursed terminology to describe forgetting your password. Efficient, dramatic, and absolutely absurd. There you have it. Now, go have an existential crisis about your word choices and subscribe.